G'day guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. Today I have got a very controversial film that I want to review for you all. It's a very difficult film to review, so I'll give it my best. This is an art house horror film, so it has a very divided opinion. It's been regarded as the most shocking film to ever hit the screens at the Cannes Film Festival, so a lot of people either love it or hate it. It's one of those movies that challenges the audience with its extreme nature and also a very hard understanding of it. So it's very easy to misunderstand the meaning of the film if you're not paying close attention. And it's also one of those movies that people are going to have their own theories as to what it's about and why the movie has actually been made. So it's a movie from Denmark, but it's spoken entirely in English. The main actors are Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg. Released in 2009, directed by Lars von Trier, and this movie is called Antichrist. And the story to Antichrist is as follows. A grieving couple retreats to Eden, their isolated cabin in the woods, where they hope to repair their broken hearts and troubled marriage. But nature takes its course and things go from bad to worse. Chaos reigns in Lars von Trier's controversial award-winning masterpiece, See It With Someone You Love. So only a very brief rundown. I don't want to ruin anything. So the main characters, Charlotte Gainsbourg and Willem Dafoe, they're a married couple, and at the start of the film they're having a very beautiful loving moment. They're making love in their bedroom, and they don't realise that their baby son has got out of his cot and has gone into their room and up to the window that's opened. So he looks through the window and he ends up falling out, and tragically their young son is killed. So Charlotte Gainsbourg's character is continuously blaming herself. She's fallen into a deep depression and she is heavily medicated. But Willem Dafoe, he's a therapist himself, and he believes he knows what's best for his wife. And what's best for his wife is that she ditches the medication and talks to him about her problems. So this is what she does. And this is where they go to the deep-seated problems that she has. Now, obviously, her biggest problem is guilt, but she also has personal fears that Willem Dafoe's character believes she must conquer herself. So one of her fears is connected to a cabin in the woods that they own called Eden. I'm not going to tell you why Eden is part of her problem. That's something you're going to have to find out for yourself. But Willem Dafoe's character believes that the best thing to do is go up to the cabin for a few days and for her to conquer her fear in person. So they go up there, and this is where nature takes over and things go from bad to worse for this couple as chaos reigns. So that's all I'm going to say. It's a little bit of a confusing rundown, but it is a very memorable film and I don't want to ruin anything for you. So if that little rundown gives you some interest, hopefully it makes you want to go out and see the film, or at the very least see what I thought of it. So that is as far as I'm going with the synopsis. Now, what I thought of this film. One of the most extreme films you'll come across, so be very, very careful. I cannot stress that enough. As it says on the front, caution, this film may offend. Extreme violence and sex scenes. That is not an understatement. Not many films in Australia have a caution like that on the front, but I feel that it's a very important caution, because if you're not a fan of extreme cinema and you're not prepared for what you're about to see, this one could upset you greatly. I am used to extreme cinema, but even this one was very hard for me to watch. Now, the sex scenes are very graphic, and from everything from real penetration as well, so it's real sex. It's not Willem Dafoe's private area or Charlotte Gainsbourg's private area. They've got porn star doubles, but it's still real sex nonetheless. Now, there is a penetration shot right at the start, which is a loving moment, so that's not disturbing, but then the rest of the sex scenes are very disturbing. Very, very dark, so it's very uncomfortable to watch. So if you're offended by sex scenes in general, very graphic sex scenes and real sex, then this one is definitely not for you, because it is pornographic, but it's not a whole lot of it, but when it does happen, it is very graphic, so just be very careful of that. But where the film gets its most controversial aspect is in the violence. The violence is few and far between. It's not an overly gory film, but when the violence happens, it's extreme and it's very, very graphic. The camera does not shy away from anything, and that's why I had great respect for Lars von Trier when making the film. He had the balls to show everything, and he had the balls to create a masterpiece that would challenge the audience, and that's exactly what it does. This is one of the most challenging films I have ever seen. It's one of the most beautiful films I have ever seen, but yet it's one of the most dark and depressing films I've ever seen. It's just made with expert quality. The start of the movie is the most beautiful introduction I have ever seen, and then it's followed by one of the most tragic events I've ever seen. So it really gives you a mixed feeling. And, you know, what starts off as a very loving moment ends in a very tragic moment. And that's the tone for the film. It just gets darker from that moment on. So you get a brief glimpse of happiness, and then it just goes from bad to worse with the rest of the film. And by the end of it, you're left gobsmacked, you're left exhausted, and you're left thinking, what the hell did I just watch? And that's everything that a filmmaker should strive to do, and that's something that Lars von Trier achieves perfectly. Now, the casting was absolutely perfect. Charlotte Gainsbourg as the wife, and Willem Dafoe as the husband. They're only known as he and she, you don't really know their names. They played very sympathetic characters. At the start of the film, you feel sorry for them, but when they descend into their madness and when nature takes over, you get a fear for them as well. Having said that, when the resolution occurs, you don't feel any happier. It's just a very downbeat film from start to finish. And that's, a lot of people say that Lars von Trier was depressed while making the film, and that's something I can believe, because it really does have kind of a hatred for humanity in this movie. So yeah, very, very extreme stuff, so be very wary coming into it. So, very artistic film. It's an art house horror film. There is a lot of pretentious quality to the film, so a lot of people could be turned off by that. But personally, I thought that yes, the director knows he's good, yes, the director is showing off, but it works on every level. It's just a masterful performance from the director, from the acting, and from the cinematographer. I mean, this is a chilling film, but as I said, at the same time, it's beautiful. So you're not quite sure what to feel, and that's why it's so challenging. Lars von Trier has put that in front of you and said, cope with it the way you know best. And he doesn't leave any doors open and closed. Something is left out in the open for your own interpretation. So it's one of those films where you make up your own mind as to what it's about. So to me, they are the most challenging and the most intellectual sort of films are going out there. So I can understand why so many people hate the movie, but personally, I absolutely adore this film. It's one of my favourite movies. It's definitely not a movie I'm going to be watching time and time again, but it's just something different, and it's something that's a breath of fresh air in the horror genre. A guy who said, yep, I'm not afraid to do what I want to do. This is how it is, and this is true horror. And a lot of people were offended by that, which is each to their own. But personally, for me, this is what the horror genre needed. This is what horror films are all about. This is an absolute masterpiece, a solid 5 out of 5, coming from a very, very talented director. So yeah, if you like your extreme cinema, this one is an absolutely compulsory have. So yeah, that pretty much concludes my review for Antichrist. An extremely surreal film, an extremely beautiful film, but at the same time, darkly depressing. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.